If anyone is watching and hasn't been to a Euros after party, I think actually
That's where it's at.
I've been quite tame. I think
You're always there at the end though.
no, I'm usually in hospital or something.
On this episode of Bru Interviews Dodgeballers, I am talking to the GB head coach, Frank Howarth, and we chat about uni days, how he founded his own team, Thunderdodge, all the different positions he held in Scotland, and we touch on TeamGB as well as how he got his nickname at FunTime Frankie. FunTime Frankie! So, hope you enjoy Bru Interviews Dodgeballers with Frank Howarth. Hey, it's Bru, interviewing some Dodgeballers, and today my guest is Frank Howarth. Thank you for joining me, Frank.
Thank you, Bru.
So Frank and I, we have a couple of things in common, a few things, I've noted them down.
Okay.
We've helped lead national teams,
Yeah.
we founded our own clubs,
Yes.
and we both started playing at uni.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
And that is where I'd like to kick off the interview,
Yeah.
as we both used to play for M.U.D.S.
Yes.
Manchester
Pythons?
University Dodgeball Society. There was all different types of team names. Pythons.
I remember being a python.
Weren't they all innuendos?
I don't know. There was badgers, pythons. Then it got to bonobos, which are the monkeys who can.
The monkeys that spend 90% of their time. Yeah.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Having fun. And then after that point, I graduated, so I don't know how much further down the line it went.
I was wondering if we could go back a little bit, because you were the year above me, but I was wondering, was that year one for Dodgeball at Manchester University?
Well, that's the funny thing. I don't remember. So I think I came into it in my third year, and there was definitely already a club. Because I think I came in after refreshers. I don't know if refreshers was a thing, but around about that sort of time.
Interesting that you started in third year.
Yeah, so
normally that's when people
yeah, let's knuckle down now. No, I felt like I needed more distractions from uni in my third year, because my third year, because I did a maths degree, was the only year in which I had to do anything written. Really, it was just exams otherwise and projects and such. So yeah, I needed a distraction. Tom Shelbrook of B's fame, but M.U.D.S fame before that, he got me involved.
Oh, okay, because you were course mates.
Course mates with Tom Shelbrook, yep.
So I need to chat to him to get the...
Yeah, you've got the wrong person for the the overall history of M.U.D.S. But yeah, I only played there for about, months rather than years, probably 4 months or so.
So what was it that, I presume, got you hooked?
I think I've always considered myself to be quite sporty, and I've always enjoyed sport, but it was weird that I hadn't taken up a sport at university, and that was sort of the one thing that I thought, well, this might end up being a regret if I don't do something whilst here. Probably got chatting to Tom about it over a pint or something whilst we were between lectures, and would have got invited along. Yeah, what made me stay? I remember in the first session I headshotted someone.
You felt good. You felt like
I felt a bit good. I felt a bit good because if you headshot someone.
But you probably did. You probably did meet.
Yeah. Yeah, accidentally, because of course you don't aim at someone's head. But I headshotted someone, and I think I remember seeing their head recoil a little bit, and I thought, yeah, this is for me. This is for me. But yeah, it's strange because in that short period of time, I think it was fairly quickly I did my first tournament. So of course that's a major drive.
And did you? The old school rivalry was against Balls of Steel. Did you come up against them?
Yeah, I think we did. So we played in a University North Open of some kind under the old UKDBA arrangement, and I think that was a qualifier for nationals that year, but we didn't qualify. I don't think the other Manchester team did. It might just have been an open. But yeah, did that quite soon, and then left uni and just thought, right, okay, I've got to do more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my next question, was why and how did you carry on playing dodgeball?
So, like the rationale behind it was, I knew that it was being done at Oxford Brookes University. I wasn't an Oxford Brookes student, but I knew it was being done there.
So
and
after university, you moved to Oxford for a job?
I moved to Oxford for training, so I was training to be a teacher.
Okay.
Oxford is where I'm from, born and raised, and the Oxford Brookes University had a session going on there. I was at Oxford Uni, but Oxford Uni didn't have its own one at that time. So I messaged Oxford Brookes and said I'd quite like to come over and just keep playing, really, which is interesting because we get a lot of that contact ourselves from players now, and went over to Oxford Brookes. Had a bit of a go at their session. Paid up 10 sessions in advance because I'm a mug. Should decide.
How many did you go to?
I went to maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
I can't decide whether
what were those like?
I can't decide whether it was because it was difficult to get to them because it was a bit of a drive, and I hadn't driven in 3 years around university and didn't have a car, so that was a problem. It was interesting. They had wrong balls. That's the kicker. Not cloth balls.
Okay.
They had non-sting, which is the stupidest name for balls because they do. And it just and rules were a bit hard and loose and lines.
Yes.
Yeah. So
was it difficult going to that from what you'd been
right, because you've got
in that
structure, because of course they play tournaments at Manchester University, so you were just like, right, okay, well you've drilled into the idea that that's actually quite important and people will have more fun if you play the rules properly, and then it didn't quite work out that way at that particular time, so I gave it about 4 or 5 sessions, I think, and then decided, no, I can run my own. I will do a community club, that must have been, so we calculated it as 10 years ago. Our Instagram says differently, but that's a lie.
Probably didn't have Instagram 10 years ago.
Well, that's the thing. Our Instagram is claiming that we were formed in a year that we weren't. So I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it's 10 years this calendar year.
What was it like, those first few sessions?
With the club that I'd set up?
Yeah.
Actually, really good.
Was it
really,
just
really
your
good.
mates, or
it was.
Who did you get in?
It was mates. So it was people I knew from home, lived in and around my village, the next town. We went and booked out a hall. Just said, right, okay, I'm gonna teach you all the rules. Me getting up on my high horse and saying I'm an expert at this now.
What was the reaction like? Did you have to do much persuasion? Or were people like just...
I think I convinced them that we could go to the pub afterwards.
That was a big selling point.
That was a massive selling point.
It was a big selling point of M.U.D.S as well, to be fair.
And I think the other thing is, like, so it's a community thing. So effectively, if you've got a group of people who are already friends with each other, and you bring those people down and you give them something new to do, they'll either absolutely love it or they'll outright reject it. And it won't matter because they'll just carry on, meeting up and stay friends and everything like that. Whereas they absolutely loved it, and most of those people we kept for a number of years. Don't think any of them we'd still probably count as... We wouldn't count any of the original lot, except for myself, as regulars at training 10 years later. We've got one who's been back 2 or 3 times this year. We've got one who only recently stopped coming.
But that was enough to get you started? Just
yeah.
You and your mates? And did you have to borrow equipment, or...?
Oh, now there's a question. No, I think I must have bought them. I must have taken the plunge. Bought the balls. Wouldn't have bought tape. Yeah, so I think I just bought a set of 5 probably.
Yeah.
But
minimum to get you started.
3. Only needed 3 at the time, so yeah, maybe I only bought 3.
What was it like growing from a group of mates to becoming like a wider community club? When did you start to attract other people, and how did that work?
That's funny. We never really did. We never grew out of word of mouth.
So it was. Well, that's the best way to get people in, isn't it? It was mates and mates of mates.
Yeah, so it has become mates of mates. We've got some people who will now come to the club, and you think, if you were to ask how was it that they began coming to the club, it would be, well, they came down with someone who no longer comes.
Yes. They got the bug.
And we've retained that person, but not the other person. So we've got the younger brother of one of our founders plays. We've got the younger brother of another player who was brought along by a friend who also has no longer plays with us. So yeah, we've got an interesting mix of people who have come to us for various reasons, and yeah, some stay, some don't stay. The new model, I suppose, is we get university leavers.
Yes.
Because it's a bigger sport now at university than it was at the time.
Yep.
And
is that at Oxford Brookes and Oxford Uni now, or just still?
We're not really getting the graduates from there. We're getting people that have gone elsewhere. So we've had
and then moved to Oxford, or moved back to Oxford.
Yeah. So we've had Balls of Steel graduates, Warwick graduates, quite a few Leicester graduates.
Wicked. So like all good uni teams.
Yeah. Another M.U.D.S graduate who had never heard of me as a M.U.D.S player. I thought, in fact, 2 M.U.D.S graduates now.
What do you mean you haven't heard of me?
I thought
FunTime Frankie.
I thought there'd be some kind of Hall of Fame where me and you would be there, and
well, that's what this is. I'm putting you in the.
Oh no, this is like right, okay. I see what this is now. Yeah, yeah. So and yeah, quite a bunch now. But we've had our little ideas of how we're going to get more people in. It flickers between being a casual concern of let's get more players, or a necessity, we need more players. But we've been quite lucky for a while now. Actually, we've done all right. We just sort of, it's taken us 10 years, but we've got the balance of the training session just about right for casual and
only 10 years.
And good players.
Just think of where you'll be in another 10 years.
Well, I know. Well, me. Hip replacement.
Yeah.
2 new knees is where I think I'll be.
So it's interesting you were talking about how you're gaining people by people bringing their friends along. So I was interested to know, who was it who introduced you to the international scene where most people might sort of recognise you or know you from?
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. I think it was probably just a direct approach from Sean Scott, who was coach of Scotland at the time. Because Sean, we knew as a Liga player, but also
that's
Leicester City,
Ligers.
Leicester City Ligers.
Right.
Leicester City. Yeah. Don't know if there's ever been a Liga in Leicester, but we'll go with it.
There's the alliteration. That's what it's about. Isn't
Exactly. So we reckon we're the only club now running in the English league structure that doesn't have a place name in it.
Oh, Underdodge.
Well, Thunderdodge now.
Thunderdodge.
But we think we might be doing it. But anyway, so yeah, Sean had basically said hi because he's a nice guy, and I think he just asked, "Is anyone Scottish?" It must have been a trial coming up or something like that. And I'd said in my thick Scottish accent, yes. But the qualifying criteria for me is mother is Scottish. Still sounds Scottish despite the fact she's been living in England for 30 odd years now. And actually they've retired and moved back up, which is nice. And just went along for a trial. Did all right. Got into the squad. Played. First one was Belfast.
Belfast, Juras.
Belfast. Oh, is it Belfast Euros or Belfast Home Nations? I don't know if there was a difference back then. Belfast Euros. Yeah, I think it must be. It's a ropey memory, that one.
And back when it was when you started, how often would you do international training, and where would it be? What would it be like?
So it was probably about 6 to 8 times a year, which is still pretty significant.
Yeah.
It's quite a significant number. Yeah, there'd be a trial and then there'd be a session every now and again. It was in various sports halls around the Leicestershire area. So Hunker, Leicester, I think we did one at Enderby. Felt strange at the time being the Scottish national team training there. But,
was there lots of players who were based in the centre of England?
Yeah.
Was it quite a central area for...
Yeah, my understanding of the first formation of most of the home nations teams just didn't quite have that knowledge of any kind of happenings of the sport going on in Scotland itself. It's not to say that there wasn't anything going on, it's just that those who were kind of in that UK DBA small tight-knit group, they didn't know of anyone there at the time, so I think Scotland kind of got formed by Sean, because Sean had the interest to do it. So they played 1 Euros before I joined. And then, just kind of grew from there. Didn't stay in Leicestershire for too long. There was certainly that movement up as early as we could do it. And became, and now, it's been probably about 5 or 6 years since all sessions have been north of the border, and in various different locations north of the border as well.
What was it like being Scotland manager?
Really enjoyable. One of the best positions I've held. Certainly, just because that was the time we won something. Was in my period as manager. Not down to me, down to the players, but we won a men's home nation, and there was a lot of work that went into that, and it was really nice being able to actually kind of bring players in, get players working together. It did a bit of coaching in and around that manager stint, so I'd been coach for a bit before and was coach for a bit.
So it's a natural sort of progression from being coached.
I think I just wanted to be able to offer something, whatever it was that Scotland needed me to do. So I wasn't a player of the highest calibre. I knew that. I wasn't going to enjoy being a sub, or B team internationals were a thing. So I wasn't going to enjoy being a B teamer, and I wanted to offer something. And I wanted to get effectively the squad better. So whatever I could do to do that, and
started off as coaching, then became like managing and just picking up whatever.
Yeah, I did women's coach, then mixed coach, manager, back to mixed coach. Had a stint as captain of the mixed team.
Nice.
I didn't earn that. I didn't play very well as captain either, and then I think, was there one more stint as coach? Yeah, one more stint as mixed coach, leading up to New York WDA World Cup, and then that was my bow out from Scotland. Yeah,
I was going to ask, did you have any pinch me sort of moments during that time?
Madison Square Garden is the thing. It's still the thing that I won't stop talking about it. I will tell everyone I meet. Well, maybe not that early, but it comes up. It's like, if you ever want to say, it's more because I want them to understand how big a thing dodgeball is. A, to me, and B, to like the people who play it, and C, it's a valid thing.
Yes.
So like we played in Madison Square Garden, and that is the moment that I think, end of the career, whenever that is, that'll probably come up. I'd obviously like a few more before that, but yeah, that's certainly the one so far.
So on the flip side, what would you say have been the biggest challenges?
I think good challenges is just knowing that most of the time that we were a Scotland team, we were underdogs in some way. Most of the time playing for my club, we've always looked at ourselves as underdogs in some way. And it's interesting in that, like, I've always been driven to be more than that. And I'm quite hard on myself if we don't make progress on that point. So I'm always like if we don't feel better, I'm like, oh, that was the thing I was going for here.
So did you find it hard if, say, one year you achieved this position and then the next year this position?
I found it hard getting the same position.
Oh,
I found
really?
I found it hard repeating second, or repeating third, depending on which team it was. We did drop in performance in a few cases, and I can get a bit obsessive about that sort of thing. And yeah, it's not upsetting, because most of the time I'd be like, well, right, okay, we're gonna sort that aspect out, because that aspect was not particularly pleasant. Let's try and sort that out for next time. Challenge wise, I've never been injured. That's an interesting one. So, well, I've had a small. I've had issues with like thumbs.
Yep.
And
everybody's got like one sort of gammy finger.
And yeah, all our fingers are probably broken. We just don't know. They're just somewhere in there. But yeah, I've had thumbs, and I've had a knee, which I basically decided, do you know what, I'm not going to risk it for a few months. Basically.
But that's not bad in like 12 years or however long.
It probably means I'm not playing well enough, or playing like, I'm not giving enough effort, is probably what the point is there. But so I think that would probably be a challenge if it happened to me now.
Yeah.
If I had a serious injury that put me out for a long, long time, I think that would certainly be the challenge. Is I don't know what. Like I've kind of had ideas about how long my career is going to go as a player, and if I had something that happened like that, that would probably be pretty challenging to get through, because there's not that much left. Hopefully there is, but yeah. Probably just play as long as I'm fit.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. Keeps you active, doesn't it? So, so who would you say, out of like, you've been in the game for like over 10 years, who's like the hardest player you've had to coach or manage? Are you laughing because there's too many, or there's like one come to your brain, or?
Right. So, hardest player to coach or manage. That's a really difficult one.
Yeah,
because there is an honest answer. But no, I reckon I've probably had more difficulties just with really keen members of my club who have just wanted to kind of. They come along to their first tournament, and in some cases, particularly early on, we didn't necessarily kind of get them that ready for the idea that they probably shouldn't swear when they get out for the first time, or something like that. Or like standing on lines is just a natural part of like what happens at league, and don't beat yourself up too much about it. So like you're not gonna have brilliant court awareness from day one.
I always say like the first competitive match or tournament is usually a write-off for somebody. Like, you're gonna get out through line folds.
I mean, like, so that can be a little bit challenging, because like you kind of then got to build someone up who's just gone and beaten themselves up a lot. Generally speaking, certainly as an international manager and coach, the players I've had have been very coachable. They wanted to succeed. Yeah. You get friction if they want to succeed and things aren't quite gelling properly, or that two people have very conflicting ideas about what the team should be doing. You get friction, but they've never been hard to coach.
Yep.
So I can't really say any of them. Because you get far more positives out of that sort of scenario.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's the enthusiasm that's one of the things that's hardest to...
I think it is. I think it is, because I think sometimes when you think, you know, this player... There are names that probably spring to mind for every dodgeballer. It's like players who they know are like a little bit kind of difficult to be able to handle either as a referee or as a coach or as a teammate or something like that. Most of the time it's because they're absolutely 100% enthusiastic, and they just need to rein it in a little bit. So it's a diplomatic answer.
Oh, it's very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Ducking and weaving like a pro dodgeballer.
Yeah.
So moving on, you're now involved in TeamGB.
Yep, representing just there.
So what is your role for those who don't know?
So I am head coach of Team Great Britain.
And how's it going so far?
Yeah, it's been fantastic actually. I come out of every training session, that's where I've been today, come out of every training session having learnt loads, having had really good top-level dodgeball conversations with players who just want to get better, who want to try out ideas against each other. There was a time where I sort of thought, right, okay, that's my time with internationals done. And then the opportunity to come and do the GB job came up. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and then the thing that made me want to come back is exactly the thing that I find really enjoyable now, which is the players driving each other to get better. Yeah. I've got a fantastic team of staff as well, both above and below me, and alongside me, and yeah, it just all works really well. There are massive challenges coming up. That's driving us forward at the moment, and we're really optimistic, which is good.
Yeah, got good cause to be, I think.
We know where we think we are, and we know that there are things that we're going to need to do to be better. And the thing is it just kind of naturally seems to work in terms of trying to get there. Yeah.
So speaking to you previously, I remember we both shared a desire to hand over our respective national teams once the sport had grown sufficiently in like the locale.
Yeah.
When did you know it was time?
Do you mean Scotland?
Yes, I do.
I think it was in some ways the fact that this was so the last tournament for me was the World Cup in New York, and I thought, wow, what a moment to go out.
Yeah.
Was kind of where I was with that. It was interesting in that I felt like that was the point at which we were getting to a stage where the Scottish super club, if you like, Granite City Gorillas, they had been going for long enough to, in my mind, have several candidates for the new leadership of the team. And so it was part timing for me, but it was also part timing for Scotland, because what I did in my time as manager, I hope, was try to kind of see a way that representation would end up at some point running Scotland Dodgeball.
So did that make it easy to walk away, or did you find it hard at all?
Yeah, I found it hard. I know that I got some really nice messages off people. I mean, I was supposed to walk away for good. I wasn't supposed to come back to GB. but I was basically just making a decision that effectively I'd achieved most of what I wanted to go out and achieve, and I just felt right. Okay, the sport's in a good place generally and in Scotland, and it's now time for the next person. Had considered retrialing as a player, but I'd kind of already done that.
Yeah.
So I'd had a manager send off when I stepped down from being manager, and handed over to Ted Dumbrell. It was lovely.
What's a send-off involved with the Scottish national team? Is there some whiskey involved?
It's not as fun as not as you're probably picturing this wild party.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. No, it was a very nice gift. So they got me a hip flask and a timepiece, I believe.
Oh, that's cool.
They might not have got me that. I hope they got me that. Yeah.
You might have stolen.
No, as in like someone else might have got me that, and I've just put the two gifts together.
So
pretty
it's
sure it was both
from the
parts.
sort of same time.
Yeah. So they got me those. Stepped down as manager, retrialed as a player, which was always part of the plan. Got in as a player, which was very nice. Then went player back to mixed coach again, and then had a big. I did the Facebook retirement post after that one.
Oh, does that make it official?
That's the official way to retire from the sport.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. No one's allowed to do it in any other way. You must retire via the means of Facebook, and then what you're supposed to do is then not come back.
Okay, but that bit wasn't so successful.
Well, it's just, I'm got no quitting power.
So, what's your assessment of how Scotland are getting on post FunTime Frankie?
Yeah, very well. I mean, the thing that will jump out is that they haven't picked up the medals with the same kind of. Effectively, it's more of a struggle now to see Scotland kind of being the finalists that would take on England, but then England aren't head and shoulders above everyone anymore. And so, when I stopped, I think that probably coincided with Austria's rise at European level, and because of that, you could wrongly say that Scotland have taken a step back. I think what's happened, in a way, is Scotland probably they lost some players, some big players, but actually, I think it may have needed some time to kind of get its core group sorted out again, if that sort of makes sense. And then from that point,
a mini rebuild.
Like a mini rebuild. And I because I'm in my post at GB, whenever a Home Nations squad gets announced, I'll go looking through it. Just sort of if there's any players I don't know, I'll look them up, and there's a lot of the Facebook stalk. It's great for that. I'm really sorry that I do that, but I do. But they have this massive group of players that have come through Granite City Gorillas. That's part of the core. They've got several really good players who are playing Super League below the border. And I think they're now in a position where those players have been playing together for a few seasons. And that is probably what they need to be able to kind of get back to where they were. I actually think NECs, so this coming year, could be really, really interesting. I think there's some really close matches that are potentially going to come out of that.
So it's going to be the first one with Switzerland.
Oh, I don't know. All I know is I was going to go along. I don't know if Switzerland.
You're just there for the crack.
Yeah. So I do this thing now where I just turn up at international dodgeball events and just pretend I was in the area anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to watch Northern Ireland versus England in Bangor. You say Bangor for Northern Ireland version, don't you? Not Bangor.
I don't know. I would have said Bangor. Nice place, really.
Very nice place. Very nice
place.
place.
Area.
Yeah, just pretended I was there. Just as
just on
You are.
teaching business.
Well, I went and had a look at the Titanic Museum. Whilst I was out there.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah. So I was gonna heading over to NECs this year. But yeah, can't confirm on Switzerland. Not sure.
Okay.
Do my research properly before I go.
Yeah. All right. So I was hoping we could do like a fun segment.
Okay.
Which would be your top 5. So it'd be Frank's top 5 fun times with FunTime Frankie.
I feel like we need to explain FunTime Frankie first.
Okay, well, what's FunTime Frankie for the people who don't know?
FunTime Frankie is like the most non-suitable nickname
What do you mean
for a 32-year-old, nearly 33, by the way. It's the most unsuitable nickname for someone who now works as a teacher.
Well,
Can't use it.
Depends how you're reading into it, surely.
There's no way of reading into like the nickname FunTime that like kids won't twist.
Oh, okay.
So I
was wondering, like, is there like some dark undertone to how you got this nickname?
Basically, it was just more the idea that there were too many Franks amongst a group of friends at university, and I just threw out the idea that I think someone once basically said past 9 PM, that's fun time for Frank. And then I think Frank Skinner came up with it as like a name for himself or something.
So it didn't even happen within like the dodgeball community?
It didn't originate within that, but obviously like when it came to kind of picking a name to go on the shirt and no one else was going with surname, I just went FunTime.
Because it always used to be about a nickname on the back, didn't it?
Yeah, back in the good old days.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days before you actually represented your family on your back, yeah.
I remember I got given Sherlock.
Right.
Can you remember why?
No.
Okay, so people call me Bru.
Yeah.
Short for Bruce. And then they said, oh, well, there's homebrew. I do actually make homebrew.
Okay.
And then they
do you
made
call it
the
Bru's Homebrew?
Well, I do it with my dad. It's Bruce and Bru's homebrew.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah. Then they made the leap to Holmes.
From Homebrew.
Home to Holmes, and
think
then I
that's
had
the tenuous
Sherlock
one.
on my back.
Okay.
And I was like, that is so tenuous. It didn't stick.
So
it didn't stick.
Yeah, so FunTime did stick to the point where now people will say it to me, and I'll be like, I have to remember that
They're talking to you.
I was once this absolute tearaway, and that those times have long gone. But yeah, we. Yeah, it's a nice nickname, isn't it? You could have much worse.
Yeah.
So top 5 fun times.
Yes. And this can be anything dodgeball related. It doesn't have to all be about you getting lucky at the Euros after parties. It can be if you want.
Look, no, it won't be. But also, if anyone is watching and hasn't been to a Euros after party, I think actually
That's where it's at.
I've been quite tame. I think
You're always there at the end though.
no, I'm usually in hospital or something. Okay,
You say
so
you've been tame, and now you're telling me you're in hospital.
I should tell you this story. I kind of have lied about this story to some people, so I'm really sorry about that. But
We're gonna get something juicy now.
I don't know. No, I don't think it's that secretive.
Okay.
I think most dodgeball, certainly everyone who was there knew it happened. So there was the year that Josh Sutton played for the mixed team, and had basically played so well from the mixed team out in in Belfast.
Yeah, he was one of the players of the tournament. Really.
He got MVP, I think. He got voted MVP, and he played so well in the mix that effectively our men's needed him to step up. He'd always been registered in the squad, but we just said, well, you're going to be a mixed player. And he played then in the semi-final, and I want to say final. I think we came second that year, so semi-final and final. And so he got MVP, but the thing is, we'd gone over for this gala dinner, start the Euros after party, and Josh had a bit too much to drink, so Josh needed to go home, so we got in a cab, and I went in the cab with Josh, took him home, put him to bed, then went back. Missed all the food. No, didn't miss all the food. Didn't miss all the food. But yeah, you're right. There is some foreshadowing here. Missed, I think, the main. I think they kept something for me back in the kitchen, so I literally got back.
And to set the scene, this was in like the big posh hotel in Belfast, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember where it was.
And they had like a really classy, swanky singer doing like Frank Sinatra and stuff.
Oh goodness, I can't remember any of this. But I don't think drunkenness is the excuse there. I think just old age.
I kind of give you that one because I'm mentally fatigued after a long tournament, and then you go out partying after like a however long that day is, especially if you're in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy those things, but yeah. Now I'll just go to bed. Like after the World Champs, I think there's some arrangement for a Sunday night thing, but no, Monday. No, I'll be back in work on Monday, and I will be happy for it. But yeah, so anyway, Josh is home.
Yes.
Awarding of the MVP. Lots of chanting about how Josh drinks hard, goes home, stuff like that.
Okay. Did you go up and collect it for him then? Or?
No, James Tuthill, who was captain / coach possibly for that one.
Yeah.
Went up and gave a speech about how Josh had kind of let himself down. Take the moment, really rip into him.
Yeah, it sounds like a best man sort of.
Yeah, so Josh, of course, is sleeping it off at home, which we might come back to later in the story. It's not an important part, but then we get back, and the other thing that if you've never been to a Euros after party, you don't know is, or a Euros, is the Swedes. Now the Swedes are a bunch. They're a hardcore group, and
their nickname is for a reason.
Yeah, the Spectaculars. Yeah, absolutely. And a few of them just really love a game of beer pong. I'm not an aficionado.
This happened back at the
accommodation,
because I remember walking in on this game.
Yeah, so loads of games of that. We were supposed to be being really quiet. There was a curfew in place where we were staying, but we were all obviously at the end of the tournament. We just wanted to celebrate silently, but we wanted to celebrate. So a lot of beer pong games, and somehow between me not really, I should have come off the game, but there was this point at which I started chasing Sam Townsend around the accommodation, and then stopped whilst chasing him, and then I think you'd have to probably call it a slut drop. I performed a slut drop against the door of the accommodation. Then on my way back up, I don't remember it like this, by the way. I had to be told this.
Right.
On my way back up,
from the slut drop.
Yeah, I've put my I've basically ground some of my face against the door, and effectively created this wound there. And became an A&E statistic, and I'm really sorry about that, but it happened. And I don't think I will ever live up to that level of ashamedness that I had the next morning, but also how absolutely funny that must have been for everyone who saw it, apart from the fact that I needed Sam poured amaretto into the cup.
What was the logic there?
I think, is it alcohol and cuts? Does that work?
Yeah,
but sticky alcohol.
Stings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I and then Josh comes out of his room, now sober, basically to judge me.
Oh wow.
Yep.
After you've taken him home and looked after him.
Yeah, that's.
Did he take you to A&E?
No. I don't think it was that good. I think early morning flight the next day, so on. And that's all I can think of, if I'm honest. I'm not that... Yeah, there's probably other things.
What about, like, sort of any personal highlights, any good plays from yourself, or any like nice moments where like you've been coaching a player and then they've sort of come through and proved themselves, or anything like that?
Well, do you know what, the personal ones? I think I actually have this habit of building them up to be better than they actually were. So
well, that works when you're telling us a story. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, so I remember being out and playing in Italy at Euros, and from as I remember it, we basically were down against Wales, looking like we were going to lose it, and I remember doing a 1 versus 3 job, and I think I only brought it back to a draw, so it's not even that good. But it was a big important match.
Quite good.
It was a big important match, and 3-1 down, and I think I got it back to 1-1. And like that was a key set. And goodness, I can't even remember if it was a fight for bronze. I think it was. I think it was a fight for bronze. So it must be a
started your comeback.
Yeah, and we did it based on that. So there was that. I think it's been the nicest thing has been the coaching ones. So the quarter-final and semi-final in New York with the Scotland mixed team were big. The quarter-final against Northern Ireland mixed over at Scottish Euros, which basically got us to that point as well. So we knew after that we were top 4, and we knew that top 4 was going to get to go to New York. So like those 3 knockout competitions, where the players have absolutely nailed it. And I don't think in any of those 3
it's to do with them executing the game plan, or it's to do with just those results?
I think in some ways, like, I think you're pleased when a game plan comes off. I think you're absolutely delighted when it just goes beyond that point, which you're like, these players have absolutely given everything, and you know how much it means to them. That's when it sort of means most as someone who's done any coaching. I think as anyone who's done any coaching, well, I might be wrong, but I think they probably prefer their coaching things than their playing things.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That
we stayed. I mean, as a domestic player, we stayed up on the last day of last season, and that was probably one of the best moments I've had as a player. Yeah, possibly up there with some of the international ones as well.
nice.
Avoiding relegation.
And you're going to do that again this year, you reckon?
We're 6 points adrift already, so it's not looking great. But we'll give it a good go.
Four league meets to go at this point, is it?
Yes, I want to say yes. It might be 5. We're over the halfway point.
Yeah, but that is quite a lot if you're getting 2 points for a win.
Yeah.
A match.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But all we've got to do is win all of our other games. That's it.
That's it.
We'll be fine.
Simple.
Okay. Mid-table safety there. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Final question then.
Yeah.
What would you say to young kids who's like aspiring, like maybe to come and play with Great Britain Dodgeball at some point? What would the advice be?
Start now. Because I think one of the things that's so interesting about dodgeball is because it is a school sport and one of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
It's at the moment we're missing something in terms of turning every single one of those potential great players into someone who keeps going, so that at the age of 19, 20, they've got so many games of dodgeball under their belt.
Yeah.
So start now. Learn everything you possibly can from players who are playing at the top level. So I like that you now have some juniors coming and retrieving for their adult teams at dodgeball meets. I love that. I love seeing like juniors who have effectively kind of come out and form their own teams in some cases that would just end up being, you know, full of this different style of dodgeball that you don't necessarily come up against that often as adults, and that's always great to see. So, but being at those sorts of things, you get so many really helpful people, players, coaches, who will tell you exactly what to do, and buy some knee pads.
Buy some knee pads. Is definitely a good one.
Played the first 6 years of my career without knee pads.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Really wish I'd had someone tell me that. Buy knee pads.
I remember I played a set once with, I hadn't pulled my knee pads up, and I went down to make a drop catch, and it was painful.
I still do so originally, but it's probably because I do drop to my knees less now. I just got out of that habit, because occasionally I wouldn't have the knee pads, so I just thought, well, let's just play on my feet for a session, see how that goes. Can do it now. Yeah.
So there you go. So that was start now, get as much experience as you can.
Yeah.
Learn off
learn off the big guys, the pros.
Yeah.
Can't really say pros yet, but
buy some knee pads.
Buy some knee pads, and don't take Josh Sutton home. And if the Swedes invite you to play beer pong, don't play beer pong.
Oh, you got to.
Okay.
You got to.
Just have fun in some other way.
All right, brilliant. Well, thank you, Frank.
Cheers.
Bye.